Welcome back to another episode of Filthy Rich with Story. I am your host, Hannah, and I've got another case study for you all. I had a client who just told me that she woke up to 3 new applications for her one-on-one program, her high ticket one-on-one. And I wanted to break down how we accomplished this because before she started working with me, she was not seeing any bites for her high ticket program. She was getting people, maybe a little handful of people interested in her freebies, in her when she do like a micro program, she'd get some interest, but people were not joining her high ticket program, which was frustrating because she made the most money from her high ticket program. And like she likes doing programs, but she can't just rely on relaunching a new micro program every single month just to get some people in. She needed to know that she could get reliable leads from her content because she was doing the work of an Olympian. She was doing more work than probably all of you listening out there and getting really nothing in return. And so there was definitely a huge gap. So we're going to break that down today on the episode and just celebrate her because this is a huge accomplishment and I am so proud of her. So, like I said, this client came to me spinning her wheels. She had been trying for months. I mean, months. I feel like sometimes there's this narrative in the online space where people are like, oh, it's just you're not getting the results because you're not disciplined, because you're not doing the work, because you're not being consistent. And that's a blatant lie. This client was being consistent and then some. She was doing all of the things, literally all of the things. And I bet you some of those people that are like, oh, you just need to be consistent, can't even keep up with the amount of work she was doing. But for the hell of her, for the life of her, she couldn't figure out what she was doing wrong. She was, and I'm not kidding, she was posting every single day, sometimes multiple times per day across different platforms. She was posting on Instagram, on Threads, on TikTok. She was doing weekly live streams. She was doing weekly podcast episodes. She was sending emails to her newsletter, or she was sending emails to her email list. She was launching freebies. Like this girl had so many freaking freebies. And she was engaging with people. Like she would literally wake up in the morning, drink her coffee, and like engage with people for half an hour to an hour with new accounts, and I kept people in her following so that she could like train the algorithm that to show her content, whatever. She was also building relationships in the DMs. She would every single week at the start of the week, she would go and look at who's been watching her stories and start a conversation with them. She was doing so much work. And this is why I love my clients, because they put in the work. They are not afraid to put in the work. There was literally no part of her that was like lazy, not a single part of her. And that's why I'm so freaking fed up with this rhetoric and the online space of, oh, you just have to work on it. People told her to be consistent. And she was like, bitch, please. I've been consistent for months and months. I have the expertise. She listen, she was getting her clients results. She knew her offer worked. She was posting content consistently. And she knew there was something missing because she still wasn't getting the results, which is why she hired me. She knew something needed to change. She wasn't sure what it was. She was tired of like guessing what it was and changing her strategy every single week. So she hired me. And I want to talk about what we did and what we didn't do to get these results, because I want to show you some of the things that you might be trying to get these results for yourself that are just a waste of time. And I can say that with my whole heart because I have been in your shoes. I've had times where I have also tried these things for success, right? So the first thing that we did not do, again, she woke up to 3 applications for her, and good applications for her one-on-one. This program is more than $1,000 per month. She woke up to 3 applications overnight. What we didn't do was post more. We actually decreased the number of times she was posting and made it a little bit more strategic. That volume of content wasn't her issue. Like it wasn't that there wasn't enough like opportunity to go viral. It wasn't that she wasn't using the right hooks or whatever. That really wasn't The issue is what she was posting. Her content was like 90% educational. And occasionally she would share a client win. Occasionally she would share her own story. Occasionally she would share like a lifestyle post. But 90% of her content was educational because raise your hand if you've ever been told that in order to be successful and win the trust of other people, you need to post educational value content. Yeah, I've heard it a million times. And so has this client. And that's why she was posting 90% educational content. And this totally explained why she was getting lurkers. She was getting lurkers who would watch her content, save, engage, look at her links. Like her audience was full of lurkers. They watched everything she did. But when it was time for them to actually join her offer, they would ghost. She would literally get people who are like obsessed with her. Oh my God, like, thank you for sharing this. This is so valuable. Like, I can't believe you gave this away for free. She'd get all this praise. She'd get love bombed by people in her audience. And then she'd be like, oh my God, great. I can't wait to take this next step with you. Here's the link to join my offer. And they'd be like, bye, peace. And the reason why this was happening was specifically because of her educational content. This is why. Because her educational content was bringing in and attracting the DIYers, the people who wanted to try it themselves, the people that were feeling stuck, and not the people, like, they were really looking at her as someone they could learn from, not someone that they needed to invest in. And that was a huge positioning problem that she had. So what we did instead is we used qualifying content to call in buyers. This is the type of content that answers the question, why them? Like, why should the person on the other side of the screen, on the other side of the content, be interested in you? Why should they stop and watch your content? Why should they read your content? Why should they listen to you? Why should they follow you? Why do they care? Why do they give a shit? Because honestly, a lot of people are posting selfishly and they're not actually treating the person on the other side of the screen as the main character. You're out there hustling, trying to prove yourself and be like, listen, I know my stuff, like, hire me, instead of actually showing people that you understand them, that you see them, you know what they're going through, and you know exactly what they need to do to change to get results. And this is where so many people get it wrong. They're posting content saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm going to go viral. Look at how pretty I look. Look at my branding. I'm using red in my brand colors. I'm using this luxury marketing. I am sipping wine first class. I'm using AI to make myself look like a model. But they're not actually creating content that says, I see you. Creating content that says, look at me is easy. Creating content that says, I see you is a whole another story. When you can create content that actually makes the viewer immediately feel seen, this is when they'll watch it through the entirety. They'll go read the caption too. They're not skipping anything. They are watching it, rewatching it, reading the caption, rereading the caption. They're clicking to your page. They're hitting follow. They're binging all of your content. They're browsing your offers. They're taking a look around your offer suite. They're taking a look at what your rates are. They're getting a feel and understanding of what it's like to work with you, all within minutes of finding your content. That's when you know that your content is working for you. If you need to make the first move to get someone to follow you, you have to go and take the first step. You have to then make them feel like they're welcomed. Like, obviously we're nurturing people, but if you have to go follow someone first and then hope that they follow you back, and then when they follow you back, you start a conversation with them because you're like, look it, I'm nice, trust me. Your content should be doing that. I love building relationships, but your content should be doing that. That is not a sustainable strategy to get you to six-figure years and beyond. So this is why viral content is nice. I'm not going to lie to you, getting more eyeballs, getting the right eyeballs on your content is good for you. But if you don't know how to actually convert people with your content, more eyeballs isn't going to do jack shit. You need to know how to create content that calls in the right people, the qualified people, right? So when I say we use qualifying content, this is content that is weeding out the people that we know are not going to buy from her right now. We're specifically talking to someone who is looking for support, who knows that they need to hire somebody, whether it's done for you or a coach or whatever. And or maybe they need to like buy your product. If you're listening to this as a product-based business, they're actively searching for that. But your content is not speaking to them. And that's why they're not taking that next step to work with you. That's why it feels like you have to jump through a million hoops to just get one person maybe interested in your work in the DMs. The next thing that we didn't do is we didn't study her competitors. People are going to be like, "Oh, but you need to keep tabs on your competitors to make sure you're relevant, make sure you're, competing with them, right?" Like it really doesn't matter what other people are doing. You want to be a leader, stop being so freaking afraid to lead, right? Like every single time you go and look at what other people are doing, you're telling yourself subconsciously that I don't trust myself. What's actually going to get people to buy is a unique approach, right? Like your buyers are not new. They are wise to the industry. They know what they're looking for. They have seen the same crap over and over and over again. They've heard the bad investment stories. Maybe they even have their own bad investment story. They're cautiously searching because they know that they need to invest, but only in the right person. So every single time you go look at what someone else is doing, and then you like take inspiration from them, you are telling them that you are telling them that you don't actually trust yourself and that you actually don't know what you're talking about because you have to look at what other people are doing. And whether that's true or not, that's what's happening in your content. And this is where the trust factor comes in. If you sound like everyone else, people instantly will not trust you. They're not even going to listen to you because they're freaking sick of seeing the same stuff over and over again. This is why when you post like an opinionated post, it blows up. Like it does so well. It's because someone wants to hear something fresh. They want something new. They don't want the same bullshit over and over again. So instead of studying her competitors, instead we focused on her story. The type of content that answers the question, why you? Why her? This is where storytelling comes in, your proof, your values. It's really not as simple as like slapping up a client testimonial. Like I've seen so many people just ask their clients for a video testimonial and then they share it and that's it. Or they have screenshots of messages and so they like share the screenshot. That's it. No context. You need to show your audience that not only do you see them, right? We're creating that content that is going to qualify them because we see where they are. But you need to show your audience not only that you see them, but you know exactly how to get them results and you've done it before. Even if you have never worked with a client before, there has to be some foundation for why you started your business, why you do what you do. And it's most likely because you got results for yourself or you have some kind of tie-in, right? Like I think of a yoga teacher. She just completed her certification to become a certified yoga instructor. Maybe she has never done a single yoga class in her life, but she has that certification. Her certification is not enough, right? It's not enough to get people to trust her. What people are going to really buy into her, like let's say she's trying to grow a digital brand on YouTube, what's going to get people to buy into her is her story. Why is yoga important to her? Why did she decide to do her certification? It's like hours in it. It's like hundreds of hours of training, right? So why? Like why is it so important? And that's going to get someone to buy into her, her brand, her mission, and want to take every single one of her classes. I specifically work with this trainer and I found her through YouTube. And the reason why I love her so much is because she shared her story about how she didn't like her body growing up, how she did over exercising, how she restricted her diet. And now she has fell in love with working out again in a healthy way through spin. And that is a very similar story to my own. And so I will 110 out of 10 times go to her over anyone else on social media because she gets me. She gets where I was. Right? The same thing goes for social media managers, business coaches, whatever. Insert your title here. It is not enough for you to just slap a title onto you and say, I'm a business coach, hire me. Why should somebody trust you? Why should somebody hire you? Why you? Right? So, this is actually where I talked about how she had 90% of her content was educational content. And we were fixing that, right? We were creating qualifying content. We also slashed her educational content completely and turned it into this type of content, the why you content. So instead of just teaching, saying like, here's your problem, here's how you're going to fix it, that is that is just speaking to the DIYers, right? Like you're literally handing them the solution on a silver platter. And I know in your brain, you're like, no, I'm trying to prove to them how much I know. And like, I can't possibly teach them everything I know in a carousel post. Right. But when you're creating those carousel posts, you're attracting those DIYers instead of creating your post in a different way where you use storytelling to educate. So instead of just teaching them, here's your problem, here's your solution, here's how you're going to do it, we use my storytelling sales method, which takes case studies, her own stories, her client stories, micro stories. Like maybe she helped someone in passing in the DMs and they could have maybe not even hired her, but she still was able to like accomplish something for them. We used those stories to then educate and build trust at the same time. So instead, like this podcast episode is an example of this. I am teaching you something, but through the lens of my client. You're going to end this episode with an understanding of what your problem is, what you've been trying to do that's not working, and what you need to do instead. But through the lens of my client, my expertise, and you're listening to this and thinking, oh, I need to hire Hannah because she knows what she's talking about. She's done this before. She's going to help me get those results that I want in a shorter amount of time because she is an expert. That's all about positioning. That's all about how you're creating your content. And that's the strategy behind your content to actually get you results. You know, right now you're posting content consistently. Yes, congratulations. Like, I'm proud of you. That's a hard step. It really is hard to build that muscle, but you don't have a strategy if you're just waking up, opening your laptop and saying, what should I post today? And then you're like creating something, pulling it out of thin air and being like, okay, there's my post. There needs to be more than that. It's how you speak to your audience, what you say to them. Like, for example, I know that my audience loves it when I give them tough love. Do you know that? Do you know what your audience likes? We've got work to do. All right. Another thing that we didn't do is we didn't launch any new offers or freebies, right? You might be thinking like, oh, my offer didn't sell, time to launch a new one. So every single time my client launched an offer that didn't sell, she assumed the problem was her offer. So she would trash it and start over. And this was honestly exhausting because creating offers is exhausting. And if you're like constantly falling in love with an offer and then selling your heart out for months and then doesn't get any bites, and so then you trash it and then you start the whole process over again, that is extremely draining. That is going to lead to burnout. And not only that, it's like you're subconsciously telling yourself, oh, anything that I create isn't worth anything because people are not buying, right? Like it really drags you down. I've been there. I've been in that constant hamster wheel of creating offers, creating freebies that lead into them, reinventing everything only for it to not work. And it's like, oh, it's the worst, right? So she was exhausting herself. She was creating offers and lead magnets every single month, hoping that this time it would be a smash hit and all of her problems would just go away. Wishful thinking does not work when you don't have a proper strategy. Her offer wasn't selling because she had gaps in her marketing, plain and simple. Period. Let's end this episode. Which is why you see people all the time with worse offers than you. Like, again, you're judging from the outside, but you're like, bruh, I teach more than that. Like, I have more in my offer and it's less expensive and blah, blah, blah. I have more experience. But this is why you see those people selling those shitty offers having huge ass sales months when you are struggling to get one or two clients. It's because they know how to position their offer in a way that sells, right? So instead of launching new things, launching a new freebie, trying to reinvent the wheel. We instead activated her audience. And you're like, duh, Hannah, activate your audience. I've been doing that. Right? But like, have you actually? Because this type of content answers the question, why now? Right? So if you've just been posting educational content, you're not answering this question. If you're like, if this sounds like you, reach out, you're not answering this question. The more you ignore this in your content, the longer people will take the buy from you. Or maybe they'll just give up and not buy it all, right? So they see you as yet another option in a sea of options, and what they like to learn from you. You're getting good feedback on your content. They're like, "Oh my god, this is so valuable. I can't believe you're giving this all away for free." But buy your offer? Ew, no thanks. When we focus on creating urgency using storytelling to show her audience what happens when they wait versus when they take action. She no longer had to fight the not right now objections in the DMs. She was getting so many objections of like, not right now. And then she would literally see them turn around and invest in her competitors. And she would be like, what the fuck? Well, you don't have to compete with this when your content actually answers this question for those people. Why now? Is your answer because you'll make money? Like, that's not good enough. We have to go deeper than that. We have to actually get in the brains of what our dream clients actually desire and really lean into the pain that they're experiencing that they no longer want to experience. And the way that we probe into this pain is not just like, you suck at marketing and this is why you're not getting clients. No, 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 no. We say stuff like, you've tried this. You've done this. How long are you waiting for? Right? Like we speak the language of our dream clients. And this is exactly what we talk about inside my accelerator SSA in the main character messaging part of it. We have literally, it's a 7-module course inside the accelerator called main character messaging, where it helps you get in the brain of your dream clients and answer these 3 questions. Why them? Why you? Why now? And there are workbooks for each of these 3 questions, and those questions help you get clear on what you actually need to be saying to get people to move, not just posting, not just a hook that's going to get people to read your posts, but what to actually say, how to structure your content, how to take that content and put it on threads and YouTube and all over the place, the strategy behind your content and how it stacks and layers on top of each other to get people to move. That's all inside the accelerator. So these results, if you forgot, let me remind you, she got 3 applications for her one-on-one before breakfast. These results happen when you stop trying to guess your strategy. When you stop trying to guess your problem, you've invested. You're investing in a content coach who looks at one post and says it looks good instead of a strategist who will actually look at your whole marketing, all of your content system, and see your gap right away. I literally have had conversations in the DMs with people who are like, well, I've worked with a content coach, and I take one glance at their posts and I'm like, well, on paper, this post does look good. But when you look at your marketing as a whole, you're missing these 2 things in your strategy. And that's why you're not getting any sales. You're investing in an identity coach who tells you just be the one, embody the famous celebrity version of yourself, instead of a strategist who will show you how to use storytelling to actually sell confidently. Because you can fake being a celebrity all you want, but if you don't actually know and trust why you are the person they need to be investing in, good freaking luck. Trying to guess what your problem is costing you thousands of dollars. Not only in time and missed clients, but also in bad investments, because you're investing in all these master classes and micro programs and all these things to learn more and to try to figure out what your problem is. Try to figure out what your problem is, but you're not actually focusing on what you actually need to focus on. So I will leave you with this. Have you been posting content consistently and you still are not seeing the volume of sales that you desire? Do you relate to this client's story and have questions about how you can do this yourself? If you answered yes to either of those two questions, I want you to send me a message on Instagram or comment on this if you're on YouTube. But I want you to reach out to me and just say gap, and I will tell you the number one fix I see instantly. I will take a look, personally take a look. I'm not going to use AI. Fuck that. I will personally take a look at your profile. I will audit your posts and I will send you back the number one fix that I see. Do you know how valuable this is? A rich edit intensive, my signature intensive, one-on-one calls, 90-minute call, and then and 2 weeks in Telegram with me or in Voxer with me. On these calls, I literally do the same thing, obviously on a more macro level, but that starts at $697. And all it takes is you hopping in my DMs right now and asking me, telling me gap, and I will literally go and look and tell you something to focus on. This could be the thing that gets you your next client. So don't be afraid. I don't bite. I'm actually very pleasant to talk to in the DMs. Send me a DM, ask me questions. Even if you just love this episode and you found it really valuable, let me know that. If you have other questions you want me to answer on the podcast, also let me know that, because this podcast is for you. I want you to be able to listen to this podcast, take notes, and go implement and get results. So if you have a question or if you've been trying something and it's not working, let me know and I can do an episode on it. I can help you. So, because I want you to win. All right. So with that, I will see you all in the next episode. I love you. Thank you for listening to the Filthy Rich Wood Story podcast. Welcome back to another episode of Filthy Rich Wood Story. I am your host, Hannah, and I've got another case study for you all. I had a client who just told me that she woke up